that's the other thing. So I go talk to people just like this, and people are like, you don't talk like a politician. I'm like, well, I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm an American citizen. I'm a grandpa now, and I understand the vehicle that needs to be used in order to affect positive change at the greatest volume, the greatest capacity that I can, is politics right now. And it's not nothing shameful about that. That's okay. It's the way that it is. We have decided to structure our society that in order to do grand change, affect positive change at the greatest scale is through the political realm. And I just looked at it and I go, okay, that's it. This is how we do this. And then you kind of peel back the onion. How do you get this done? Develop a message and then get the message out. And there's certain things that you have to do for those steps. So it's not, it's, as the SEALs would say, it's not rocket surgery. But yeah, man. So that's what I've been doing. And so I ran this race. I lost the race. I did it. I lost by 2 points, like 11,000 votes. So it's 5,501 votes. And I talked to Sarah Jane, and really saw, that things weren't going to change for the better. They just weren't. And I'm telling you, dude, every single thing that we discussed in the campaign in 2020 it's just gone faster. We just called the timing wrong. And it's just not good. I never thought I'd say this in my lifetime, that I'm concerned about the health of our republic. When you're talking about changing fundamentally the structure of our government without using the mechanisms that are in place to change the structure of our government fundamentally. That's what's cool about the Constitution. There's provisions written within the Constitution to change it if you don't like it at a fundamental level, like the 13th Amendment, for instance. You know what? We fought the Civil War because slavery is one of the most abhorrent, if not the most abhorrent institution ever. And we passed the 13th Amendment, outlawing indentured servitude and slavery. That's an awesome thing. Over half the population at one point was disenfranchised. That's a term that means voting. I never really understood that. That pertains to voting. So over half of our population couldn't have a say publicly and affirmatively in our government. So we passed the 19th Amendment. That was just a little over 100 years ago, so that women had suffrage, they could vote. Those are good things. And that's written into the Constitution. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he was elected for a fourth term and then died at the end of World War II. And people are like, wait a minute, hold on a second. This guy's been in office for 1,000,000 years. Let's get rid of that. So they passed the 23rd Amendment. And I think it's 23rd Amendment. So it's term limits for the president, right? It's a good thing. There needs to be term limits for Congress. The guy that I'm running against now is going to be in Congress for 26 years, dude. That's as much time as they did in the SEAL teams.
Wow.
26 years. Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, though. The majority of folks are more than concerned right now about what is happening. And the problem is, though, is there's very few people like you who are actually willing to take that conversation to action. That's the difference. There are so many people that talk. And that's something I always say to people is like, okay, cool. You're telling me the story. What are you doing behind it to back it up? Like, what are you actioning? Because if you're not, then shut your mouth. But if you're going to do something, go do it the right way, formulate your plan and go attack it. And then you're able to talk whatever you want to talk about because you're doing something to try to further or get it better, make it better. And for you and I, we served in the military. We spilled blood for this country. So it means something to us to fight for it. And I'm just so excited because I served with you at Team 7. I'm super excited that you're running and you're going to make it and you're going to do awesome things. And I just wanted to throw this one in here so that everybody can hear right now. When Vano becomes president of the United States someday, when he does, I'm asking you to legalize base jumping in the national parks. Thank you very much.
Legalize base jumping in the national parks. Okay. There you go.
So you got a fight ahead of you because I've not been following politics my whole life, right? I got very involved in understanding more about politics as I become an adult. Let's back up. I'm trying to become an adult. But ultimately, what I'm seeing right now is it's more than just running. It's a fight. People are vicious. They're attacking you every which way. They're trying to find everything on you. I mean, it's just absolutely nonsense where they're clouding the actual message that you are saying. So tell everybody, what are your views? What are you running on? What are you going to do for Wisconsin and America?
Well, let me address what you just referred to. So that's another reason why people don't want to run for political office, because people are willing to say and do anything in order to maintain personal political power. You know what I mean? I've had false witness borne against me. I've been called all these things that are simply not true. And that can bug you, but I know that they're just lying. And, but if you don't have real thick skin, you're able to tolerate people literally manufacturing things about you and your values. You know, it could be very difficult. So what do I want? I want to provide to my children and my grandchildren an environment where at a minimum they have the same amount of opportunities that I had to get where I'm at right now. And that says a lot. You know, for your viewers, a personal history about me. My brother and I were raised in abject rural poverty by a single mother because my dad was just not an honorable guy. He abandoned us when we were infants. We had to move in with my grandmother. I think we were on welfare for a while. But my mother, Carol Ann Mulligan, who died about 6 years ago now, she was 5 foot nothing and harder than woodpecker lips.
I believe
That's the
that.
family. Dude, she's so cool. A couple things. There's always room at the table for one more, and you got to take care of people. Those are hard lessons that she taught us, right? Even though we had nothing, she kept getting promoted, and so we moved around. But we came back here to Wisconsin, which is I consider my home. That's why I came back here after Danny got out of high school. I mean, we bought our farm probably 17 years ago up north. But I want to have the environment set where our children and grandchildren have the ability to rise. You know what I mean? So I came from nothing. I try to explain this to people, you know, that on the left, they're trying to convince everybody that the American dream isn't real, that it's a manufactured thing, you know, that it's a social construct or whatever. And I look at them, I'm like, I'm standing right in front of you. Like, I am the American dream. I'm the epitome of coming from nothing. And next year, dude, I'm going to be in Congress.
Yes, you are.
So within a single generation, an American can go from nothing, socioeconomic status, and clearly I was something. I'm not trying to discount the human condition. I'm a Christian, all that stuff. But I'm saying that you can go from nothing to rise to be in the highest levels of power within a single generation in the United States of America. This is the only country that can do that. You know who else did that? Barack Obama. And he had some other challenges to face that I didn't, right? So you think about that. So it is replicable. You know what I mean? Right. When you're doing science stuff, scientific method, you have to be able to reproduce it, right? So we've seen this over and over and over and over, hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of times. We have seen throughout our nation's history, people starting from nothing and rising to be the greatest they could possibly be. And that's what scares the living crap out of the left, Birdman, is this. I'll tell you. Republicans, we look at you and we see you as an American citizen. And we want you to be able to rise to the level of your God-given talents and your drive. And that's it. Regardless of any modifier you want to put in front or behind those two words, American citizen, we don't care. I don't care. I want you to be able to be the best that you possibly can be because of the gifts you're given by God and your ability and your drive to utilize those gifts. Nothing else. And the left understands that when people figure that out, they're out of business, Jack. They got nothing. So they want to make you think that you have to have all these external things in order for you to be great. And that's just not true. I mean, socialism, which is what they're talking about, this equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity, that's actually an iron dome, not like the Israeli iron dome. It's an iron ceiling. And that's boom, you hit that thing and you stop. And this is the government. And guess what? Everybody's equal, aren't they?
They are.
That's it. So were you at my retirement?
No, unfortunately not. I wasn't invited.
Oh, I didn't get an invitation.
When you're below an E7, you know.
That's right. I forgot. So I told this story, and I think it's really cool because it's a neat vignette about the SEAL teams, and then you can carry this throughout the SEAL teams into the culture and society, right? A friend of mine, his name's Jacob Rosenberg, and he did a documentary on the Beats headphones and the digitalization of music, right? So in order for you to listen to like Led Zeppelin, or for me to listen to Led Zeppelin, I had what we call a record. Oh, you probably don't know what this is, Bird.
I mean, jeez, I am not your grandchild, old man.
So, but we listened to this thing, and that's the high fidelity was that you were able to have all these different tracks of sound within this single thing, right? But in order to be able to send stuff over these different mediums, you had to cut these out, right? So you removed the highs and the lows, and you had the medium. Well, the analogy I use is that the SEAL teams operate in those areas.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? So you have this strange peak that you have for only a short period of time is really what ties in different segments of the musical score. And that's where the SEALs operate. We're elegant practitioners of the art of war. And the United States of America is that. That's where we do have, a group of people that kind of operate in this middle section, right? But we have the ability to rise and the ability to fall. And sometimes in order to rise, you got to fall, you know that. And if you remove the ability for people to fail, you also remove the ability for them to excel. And we don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want generic everything, right?
Yep.
So